Now that we are here and you are logged in to Curriculum Central for Geometry, let's talk about, let's address the STAR information that is still here. The district is going to leave the EOC and STAR documents here on Curriculum Central because we will still have the district curriculum assessments, and they are aligned to the text and the EOC blueprint. There is a consensus, though, that geometry EOC may not be gone forever, and all of the subjects are going to use the curriculum documents. We, as a district, we're bound by law to teach the text with or without the EOC. So I wanted to make sure that that was understood. So all of this stuff is still good. And I'm going to go ahead. So it's going to be there. So don't be discouraged when you see that. Let's talk about the accommodations for our English language learners. This is the law, guys, and these are the proficiency standards that we must follow as teachers. So the more writing and speaking and reading you do within your classrooms, the closer you're going to get to meeting those standards. Also give them processing time so that you can get more responses from them. So that's what that is for. And moving on, let's talk about the curriculum assessment timeline. So I click, it downloads, I open. I have to enable editing so that I can kind of make it look nicer, and also, you know, change anything I needed to if I wanted to for myself. But you are given two. The first test has a window from testing window from November 10th through the 21st. And the second curriculum assessment is from March 30th through the 10th of April. For the first test, each X represents the text that your students are to have mastered. And here, the second one, or the X's are, that is also what will be on the second curriculum assessment. Now, we can talk about the pacing calendar, which is something different and new. It used to be scope and sequence, the title, but it is so amazing. Look at the changes. We have here the calendar and laid out for the year. So when you see blue, it's professional development, red is holidays, yellow final exams, and if it's italicized and underlined, it's the district curriculum assessment testing window. Remember, when you look on the regular calendar for the district, when you have an open parentheses, like here, that's the beginning of the 6 weeks. When you have a closed parentheses, it's the end of the 6 weeks. And the colors here just talk about the units, and so on and so forth. So there you go. And take a good look at this. If you have any questions, post them below in the blog. The insider guides, they represent the weak text that the district analyzed, and it's the historically weak text over the district. And so if you click in here, you can see that, let's give it a moment to load. They have provided the SE description along with the text, the unpacked text. They have gone in and broke it down for you. They have instructional approaches that they have found and studied and researched to work, especially as an intervention for the students, that the learners and students that aren't getting it. And then here are the resources to use. So a lot of time, sweat, a lot of hard work to make it happen for our students. So this is there and available to you. Please, 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 I cannot stress enough, take time out in your PLCs to use this, especially when you get to those sections that you need interventions for. Now, If when reading through your insider guide you notice that it says Dana Center as a resource, you want to look here where it says Geometry Assessments Dana Center. Great resource, great resource. Let's go ahead and take a look at that for a moment. Okay, so if we just kind of scroll through and see what it is we have. Okay, introduction to the book. Okay, the thanks. Oh, contents. Okay, so the different activities. All right. And is there anything else in here? Ah, it's going through the text and the connection it has with the activity. So that's awesome. And so if you're trying to teach a certain text, you can find the activity that goes along with it. And then just take a look at it. It's a really great resource. I will suggest this though. As you are using this in your class, make sure you're using it as a project, not classwork or worksheet. It's more of hands-on, everybody working together, you kind of facilitating, walking the room and helping to get them through the activity because they are challenging. But doing these activities brings on conceptual understanding, and that is what we want. A better math student that is passed along so that when they do reach their destination, they are a better math student. Okay, and that concludes. Oh, well, one more thing. Let's talk about this down here. These are the Eoc Interventions. And I know we're not doing the STAR test, I know. But towards the end of the year, to reinforce what it is that has already been taught, these would be some great reinforcements, okay? So take a look at them. This is one on distance formula. It would give you some out-of-the-box experiences, just not the traditional classroom. Give them something different and new to do. And so it's been broken down for you. The resources and instructions, all of the stuff that you see, they have been researched. They have been proven to be successful. They've gotten this information from reliable sources. They have spent the time to give you what you need to give your students success. So please don't disregard these. Take a look at them. A couple of times. And the objective that they set was to become proficient at analyzing texts and CEs to make great instructional decisions and integrate manipulatives, because manipulatives increase conceptual understanding. And then they started talking about number sense and how kids struggle with that, and gave the AISD definition. They even went as far as to talk about the focus of instruction from middle school to high school and to beyond. And then after that, they watched a video. I do want to show you a piece of that, a piece of two videos, video on slide 12 and slide 13. So I'm going to load that.
And then we have, and then you have C3. That's what I'm doing. I'm subtracting -9 from -5 to get 4.
They use the chips to model. Okay, I'm putting in 5 cold cubes, so that's -5. I want to take out 9 cold.
And that is some great energy. I would love for that to be in my classroom, right? Your classroom, right? Yes, of course. Let's look at the other video.
12 minutes. We split them into a second set of teams where one person did parallel lines, one person did intersecting. They can talk to each other and tell each other what they discovered in their first groups.
Because you have 4, she has 1. Yeah.
So they are learning, talking. That's awesome. So manipulatives are the way to go. After this, I know they addressed concerns, because there were some, and then they addressed the benefits, and they gave an overview of the texts that were addressed, their concepts that align with those texts, and then the manipulatives used. And last but not least, here are the references for the PowerPoint. A few things I just kind of want to point out before I really dig into the meat of this document. Okay, if you see the red words Readiness Standard, I'm telling you this is a Readiness Standard, but I'm also telling you if you don't see it, it's a supporting standard. The verbs that are being tested are underlined. Okay, and I noticed that use was an underline and it should have been. I don't know if that's because this focused more on determine. Okay, you will see TSIET, and at the bottom of the document it says the student is expected to. Okay, and you'll see it here, the student is expected to. If you've never seen that, you wouldn't know. This here is a star release question. It's in this column. %80 of the document has it, and there's a reminder here in blue that says that it's below, and it's not on all of them. Again, about 80%. Okay, what else did I want to point out? The recommended resources. Now I know this took some time. Under the additional resources, this is really for interventions, and these are links in the document so you can open it. And look, this is a calculator trick from the TI website, or calculator game, or some instruction that will help your learners that are having issues getting it, get it. So let's move on. Here's another link. And then let's see, did we go over everything? Yes, readiness, yes, we did that, yes, we did that, yes, we did that, yes, we did that, yes, we talked about that. And last but not least, we want to talk about the first page. It's an overview of the text. If you, let me close that, let me close that. And on this document, I want to scroll to the top. Okay, this is the first page. Now, this column in the document normally is aligned or coincides with the TEKS being talked about on that page. But if you read this, it's an overview and generalization. There are notes, FYIs. That's because the first page is like an overview. It's like a summary. Even though it does go into, you have a star release question here. So don't let that confuse you, okay? Don't let that confuse you. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this document and I'm going to make it a little bigger. We're going to talk in detail about it. We're going to get into what this is in depth. Now, this purple box has a lot of information, and if you watched the first video, you should understand this already, so you can fast forward to the next part. But if you did not watch the first video on this page, you need to pay close attention to the explanation here. The text it stands for text is essential, knowledge and skills statement. Essential meaning very important, knowledge meaning what they need to know, skill meaning content. So this is the content that the student is supposed to know. This is an overview of that content. This here is the student expectation. The student is expected to be able to do the following, and you notice I said do, meaning action, so a verb. And that's why they say find the verb. Because if you find the verb, gather, record, use, determine, then you know what it is to teach. Now, it's in brackets because they didn't test gather and record this last time, but they did test use and determine, and I bet you this use should be underlined, but they underlined the verbs in the document as well. So after I find those verbs, I know I'm going to do something. I'm going to perform something. What am I going to perform? I'm going to perform the content, the skill, and that skill has to be related to the statement up here, because this is the umbrella, and this is like me under the umbrella. This is the expectation of what was mentioned first, the overview. So we gather, we record, and then we use those data sets to determine functional relationships between quantities. And the more you do it, the more you can just pretty much see what it is that it's asking, the more you read the text and the student expectations. Now this statement here is just a combination of these two. For clarity, for those that have not practiced reading the text and essays, this here will make it a little easier until you have developed that skill, so that you can have really and make really good instructional decisions. So the student is expected to identify when a relationship is a function from given tables, ordered pairs, graphs, and mapping diagrams. Now it says under that, see the release star question item below, and you should see that on 80% of the ones that actually have the questions attached. So here it is, and remember, this is just one of them. So this is one way to test it, but there are so many other ways to test this item. Okay, let's talk about this red box that has the blue and the green attached to it. The blue, it coincides with this blue over here. The approaches that a teacher should take to achieve the intended learning expectation and outcome. That is very important, because what do you want your kids to learn? That's step one of PLC. What do you want them to learn? That's what you should be talking. What is our goal? We're talking about in your PLCs. And then here, let's talk about this. They have given recommended resources. So yes, they have researched it. Yes, they have used reliable sources to get this information. And yes, they have seen that, and it has been proven that these are successful. Okay? Resources, materials that will most likely maximize student success and teacher time. Look at this, Dana Center Algebra 1 assessment. Do you remember where you can get that? From the Curriculum Central page, right there. There it is, and you go there and that's what it's talking about. Okay, additional resources. This is really an intervention used for the differentiated learners. And when you have kids in class that just aren't getting it, hey, do this. That's, you know, we got to find something to reach the ones that don't get it. Academic vocabulary. Language that's essential to concept development. So in order to meet those goals, these are the things they got to know how to do. Say, write, explain. Assessment. And, you know, it's really bad, because when we say assessment, the first thing we think is test and quiz. But this is really ways to frequently monitor the concept development during instruction. What are you doing? What are you asking? What are you saying? What probing questions are you asking? What yes or no questions are you asking? What questions are you asking to see what they know? And that can be done at the beginning, during, at the end of class it can be done.